Hello, I'm Death's Arrow, and welcome to episode 23 of WoT I'm Thinking. In this episode, I will look at the VK3002D, a mid-tier German tank that's gone from irrelevance to a stepping stone towards the Leopard 1. From a historical perspective, the VK3002D was a prototype tank developed by Daimler-Benz for the Panther project. The purpose of the Panther was to counter the Soviet T-34 tank, which had become a significant threat in 1941. On November 25th of 1941, Hitler ordered the production of a new medium tank that would outperform the T-34. Daimler-Benz and MAN were ordered to design a 30-ton tank armed with the 75mm KWK L70 gun. Daimler-Benz's proposal for the VK3002 was designed based on the previously rejected VK3001, which was essentially a direct copy of the T-34 with some modifications. Ultimately, Hitler rejected the Daimler-Benz proposal due to potential problems with identifying the tank since it looked too much like the Soviet T-34. Additionally, there were reliability and performance issues with the tank that would require numerous modifications. In World of Tanks, the VK3002D until recently was relegated to irrelevant offshoot status. In closed beta, the 3002D, then called the 3002DB, led to the Tier 8 Panther, which was later changed to Tier 7, bumping the 3002D out of the main German medium line. For a while, it was a crossover tank between the medium and heavy line, but it was moved yet again later on to an offshoot location on the tech tree and stayed that way until the introduction of the second German medium line ending in the Leopard 1. This happened to be the second time I've played through the VK3002D. The first time was 2 years ago, and the tank didn't really suit me then. It definitely suffered from the wider matchmaking range and would generally face higher tier tanks that it would struggle to penetrate. Proliferation of Tier 8 mediums further compounded the matchmaking issues and forced the tank to face lows and KV5s almost every match. Premium ammo was only available for gold and not a viable option at that time. Thankfully, with tighter matchmaking, along with premium ammo for credits, the 3002D is now a much more viable tank than it has been since closed beta. The VK3002D, for all intents and purposes, is a flanker. It has decent mobility, some frontal sloped armor, and a somewhat weak gun for its tier. What this amounts to is needing to use the tank's mobility to get around heavier enemies to get to their softer side and rear armor. How to accomplish this task is where experience comes in, as utilizing mobility is not an easy skill to learn. There are essentially three methods. The first and simplest is the brute force method, which involves closing and circling around an opponent. This works fine for an individual opponent, but will likely lead to severe damage if they have any support. The second method is positioning, either taking key map locations or using camo so that you can be in a location to get flank shots at enemies going elsewhere. The third is taking advantage of opponents engaged with other tanks, allowing you to flank around them while they are distracted. The single biggest complaint about the 3002D is the 8.8cm KWK 36L56 gun, otherwise known as the Short 88, which is widely considered underpowered, especially at Tier 7. Many players opt to use the 7.5cm KWK 42L70 instead, since it trades additional penetration for lower damage. Personally, I don't find the Short 88 to be particularly terrible. While it does lack in penetration, it's accurate enough to snipe with and consistently put rounds on target. Rounds tend to fly straight, unlike the British Tier 7 guns. Higher tier targets can be difficult to pen, but premium rounds help level the playing field. I highly recommend carrying at least a dozen, if not more, for difficult targets. While the armor on the 3002D isn't anything to write home about, it does have decent thickness and slope. With a little angling, the armor can bounce most Tier 7 rounds, although inconsistently with larger caliber guns. Feel free to bully lower tier targets that can't penetrate the front plate. For equipment on this tank, I recommend a vent to improve all crew skills, a rammer to improve reload time, and an enhanced gun laying drive to improve aim time. This tank cannot mount a vertical stabilizer, which would be much more useful than the enhanced gun laying drive. For crew skills, it really depends on if you plan to continue up this tank line, in which case camo would be the first skill I'd suggest, as this will be valuable later on in the tank line. Otherwise, repair would be my recommendation. Other useful skills would be Sixth Sense, clutch braking, smooth ride, snapshot, safe stowage, and brothers in arms. Safe stowage is highly recommended if you plan to continue up the tank line. The first replay they'll be looking at is a solo battle on Sand River from May 1st, 2013. As noted at the top of the loading screen, this is a standard battle. Reviewing tank composition for this battle reveals the following. This is a Tier 7 battle with 5 Tier 7s on each team. My team has 4 Tier 6s while the enemy team has 2. Both teams have 4 Tier 5s. My team has 1 Tier 4 scout while the enemy team has 3. Both teams have 1 Tier 5 RDPs. The enemy team has a big advantage in mobility with 4 scout tanks. I don't recognize anyone in this battle. As the battle loads in, I decide to head north. I want to head to D7 and attempt to cut off the enemy before they can head up into the hills, which has become a very common tactic on this map. Ideally, I'll get there first, but more than likely I'll be able to distract and slow the enemy down. As the match gets underway, I immediately start heading north. Gonna head to the gap at D6, as I noted in the introduction. Got a few tanks also headed in this direction for support. The quickest route to get to this location is the far eastern bridge. Taking the other bridge forces you to swing around the hill, not quite as direct or fast. Got a Crusader heading up into the hills. KV-3, T-20, Su-152 on the overlook. Also Panzer IV headed up into the hills. And RIS. We've got a lot of firepower on this flank. Spot their VK-3002D. Get a hit but no damage. He's still moving. That tank's not particularly accurate on the move. Line him up again. I get a hit in his back. They've also got two M5A1s Stuarts in the hill. Type T-34 and a Panther. I basically got here in the nick of time. The enemy's going to be stalled. Get hit on the Type T-34. Trying to line up the Stuart. And I get a hit. The Panther's on the back side of the hill. There's not much I can do about him right now. Somehow we've managed to lose an artillery unit. And our Crusader. Trying to check their Panther. Got these Stuarts over here in the hill. One of them appears to be fleeing. Missed the other one. Bounced off my front plate. Line up the one that's on the run and I knock him down. Line up the other Stuart. Can only really see the top of his turret, if that. Line him up. And I miss right in front of him. Don't have to really drop back into cover. He can't damage me. He bounced another shot, and I bounce his shot. Still keeping half an eye on the Panther, but at the same time, I want to take care of that Stuart. Our guys in the north are doing a great job on the enemies that pushed up into the hill. So they knocked down the Type T-34. They also knocked down the 3002D, and I'm going to go after the Panther now. Pop over the hill, get a hit in his flank. Not a lot of gun depression on this tank, so I do need to jump over the hill all the way in order to get my gun depressed enough. Get another hit on the Panther, but I do take a return shot. Our team that's cleared out the north is continuing to push. South's in trouble, though. I'm going to focus on this Panther. Using the hill for cover, and then popping over every time he's distracted to get hits on him. Right on the top of the hill. Get on his flank, come over the hill. Pop him in the side. Keep my front armor on him. He does get a hit on me. I get another hit on him. And now I'm going to circle. I should be able to out-circle his turret traverse. And I knock him down. While we have broken the enemy on the northern flank, the southern flank has become overrun with the enemy pushing in on our base. I need to turn back and defend base before it's too late. The other tanks in this flank can keep pushing towards the enemy base. The enemy hasn't started capping yet, so I know I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to head all the way to the east, as that provides slightly better angles of fire for me. Our team has already begun capturing the enemy base. T-20 is over there, IS as well. We've got a KV-3, which is continuing to press towards their base. We've got our Panzer IV coming back. And it appears that M5 Stuart was AFK. I don't know about the Su-152. I'm lining up the T-34-1, and I get a hit. The enemy T-34 is one-shottable. The T-34-1 is now one-shottable. Take a hit, line up the T-34-1, and I knock him down. Panzer IV softened him up for me. Line up the T-34, knock him down. Got a T-29 at about 75% health. He's distracted by our Panzer IV, trying to line him up. Originally aiming for the side of the turret, end up bouncing off his hull. I've switched to premium rounds. I get a hit. Looks like our Panzer IV is using HE there. The T-29's pressing on me. But he pushed up a little too far and left his hull down position. He hits me in the front as I back down the hill. I've got to push up a little bit to get to his hull again. Bounce on that shot, probably hit him in the mantlet. I bounce his return shot. Come back up the hill, I do have a faster rate of fire than him. Line him up, I get a hit, leaving him at 6 hit points, but he knocks me down. Although I did get taken out by the enemy T-29, I did what was needed to stop the enemy from capping. Left to their own devices, those 3 enemies would have capped out our base. A little help from the Panzer IV while a second too late is good enough to put the final nail in this win. Looking at the after action screens, I destroyed 4 tanks, damaged 4 more, hit 20 of 23 shots for 2,705 points of damage, and earned 1,663 experience before the double. Overall, I made the decision to go north in order to disrupt the enemy from being able to push into the hills north of our base. This has become a very standard pub tactic since the introduction of physics. Once the northern flank was cleared out, I noticed that the enemy had broken our southern flank and that I needed to return to base immediately to stop them. Careful use of terrain allowed me to take on the enemies one at a time and stop them from capping. While I did get taken out by the enemy T-29, it was too little too late and our team capped out the base for the win. The second replay they'll be looking at is a solo battle on Karelia from May 16, 2013. As noted at the top of the loading screen, this is a standard battle. Reviewing tank composition for this battle reveals the following. This is a Tier 7 battle with 4 Tier 7s on each team. My team has 7 Tier 6s while the enemy team has 5. My team has 2 Tier 5s and a Tier 4 scout, while the enemy team has 5 Tier 5s including 3 scouts. Both teams have a single Tier 4 arty piece. I don't recognize anyone in this battle. As the match loads in, I've decided that I should head to the hill at G7. This is a key position on the map and gives a lot of flexibility to the team that can hold it. While the enemy has several tanks that can get there first, I'm confident that unless they push it in force, I can handle whatever they send. If they do push the hill in force, I'll change my plans. As we get underway, I immediately start heading east and south. I've spawned on the correct side, so I will have an advantage as far as getting there first. It all depends on what the enemy sends in this direction, though. Got a Luke's with me. Looks like we'll also have a Leopard, IS, Jagdpanzer, Jagdpanther. AT-8's also coming this way, and one other TD that I can't read the name of at the moment. As I turn the corner to climb the hill, no enemy spotted. Keep my gun pointed in that direction just in case, but as I get higher up the hill, there's no reason. ELC AMX pops up, I'm trying to line them up. And a Leopard, IS, Crusader. Get a hit on the Leopard. Trying to line up the ELC AMX again. Missed that shot. He's tracked, so I'll try to get a hit on him. And I get a hit. ELC continues to push up, but knock him down on the move. Line up the Leopard, he bounces off me, and I knock him down. Got an enemy T-25/2 climbing the hill. They also have a Crusader over here now, IS T-150. We knock down their Crusader. I'm going to go after the T-25/2, and I get a hit. He does have an advantage on me in gun depression. I have better armor though. And he gets a hit on me, but I get a hit back on him. He's one-shottable now. I'm going to press in and knock him down. And I knock him down. With the hill taken, I'm now free to support either flank. At the moment, I can get shots on the enemies up north, while I'd have to come off the hill to get shots in the south, which really doesn't make much sense. If I get up towards the edge of the hill, I should have shots. I actually don't even have to go that far. Lining up the SU-100Y. I get a hit. Trying to line him up again. He's out in the open. I miss. Trying to line up again. I fire blind. Looks like I missed again. Not certain. Going farther towards the edge. Actually, I did hit the SU-100Y. Trying to get the kill shot. And I knock him down. Trying to line up the T-20 now. I get a hit for no damage. Staying focused on him. He looks like he's turned back. He's running. I get a hit, and our Dicker Max knocks him down. Rather than try to attack the south frontally, I decided to drop off the hill on the northern side and flank around. This should come as a surprise to the enemy and should help break that flank. It appears that most of the enemy's forces are in that area. Our northern flank is going to continue to press on towards their base more than likely. I am putting myself at a little bit of a risk if the enemy has anybody left to defend Cap and they're overlooking the ridges. But I don't spot anybody, I just keep going. Spot the artillery, lining them up. And knock them down in one shot. Coming around to close out the flank here. The enemy still has some heavy hitters here, but there's no way they could even make it back to base even if they could escape. Miss a shot on the KV-1S. They haven't really noticed I'm back here yet. And I knock them down. Got a full health KV-3. Going after him next. And I bounce. You'll see AMX coming back. Hit him in the flank, knock him down. All the enemies are pinned up in this area now. Get a rear hit on the KV-3. He's finally noticed I'm here and starting to turn around to try to defend himself. I missed that shot. Snapped it a little bit. Trying to get a flank hit. Get hit by the KV-3, take some damage. Missed that shot. I should have stopped and tried to aim. I kept moving. Get a flank shot in the track and knock his track off. No damage though. Using this wreck here for cover and firing around it. Bounce that shot. Decide I'm going to switch to premium rounds. Having some trouble with this KV-3. Take a hit from the enemy KV-1S. But I hit him back. Back out behind cover again. Actually backed behind the wreck in front of me. And got another hit on the KV-3. Get a hit in the front. He's down to 38 hit points. Just waiting for my reload to complete and I can knock him down. And I knock him down. Going after the KV-1S. Get a hit. Our team is capping the base. They have more than 3 tanks on cap. Knock down the KV-1S. I am quite clear about how many kills I have. I'm trying to line up a 10th kill and I missed my shot on the IS. I have one more opportunity on him, but our team has capped out the base for the win. Looking at the after action screens, I destroyed 9 tanks for a Redley Walters medal, damaged 1 more, hit 25 of 32 shots for 3,961 points of damage, and earned 2,215 experience for an Ace Tanker badge. Overall, I made the call early on to go south to the hill at G7. This decision paid off as the enemy didn't send a fast force in that direction, and I easily took the hill. This allowed me to get flank shots on the enemies in the north. Once the northern flank was cleared out, I made the call to drop off the hill and flank around the enemies in the south, as a frontal engagement likely would have ended badly for me. By flanking around, I distracted the enemy and allowed our team on this flank to push in and close out the match. While I did end up just short of a Pools medal due to our team quickly capping out the base, I'll take a win every time over a medal. Thank you for watching this episode of What I'm Thinking. Stay tuned for another episode soon. In the next episode, I will take a look at the T-54, a medium tank that was once the scourge of closed beta and still holds up fine today even considering power creep.